Imagine driving home to go pick up your daughter from daycare who wants ice cream, not realizing that you are no longer employed. And then your wife is pregnant with your second child. Imagine how you're feeling. I pick my daughter up from daycare, give her the ice cream, and I start to reflect on life. Like, wow, I can't believe this is happening.
Welcome to Testimonies of Triumph, where real stories of faith come to life. In each episode, we share powerful testimonies of how God transforms trials into triumphs, bringing hope and redemption to everyday lives. Whether you're seeking encouragement, wisdom, or inspiration, you'll hear how God is working today, turning even the darkest moments into stories of victory. Now, let's dive into today's episode and witness the incredible power of God's grace in action. Hey, Michael, welcome to Testimonies of Triumph. Appreciate you jumping on here to tell God's story in your life. And I've had a chance to review your background a little bit, and it's fascinating to me. And part of that's fascinating to me is kind of where you start and where you end up can be dramatically different places. So if you can help me out and sort of back the truck up a little bit and walk us through kind of what was life like before things started to change. And then I know that God jumped into the middle of it and changed your directory altogether. So let's get to that spot and then let's talk a little bit about it and we'll ask you questions along the way.
Okay, and feel free to tell me, where to pause. So you want me to go all the way back to my childhood up until the big
Sure.
moment, right?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Let's
So,
talk about it.
okay, let's talk about it. I like to frame it in this format. Um, Imagine you were my neighbor and you were sitting on the porch. It was the summer, August, hot outside. You're sitting on the porch drinking some Kool-Aid. All of a sudden, you see a young, nice looking, of course, 14-year-old boy run out the house, run to the mailbox, reach into the mailbox, pull an envelope out, and run back to the house. And now you see everyone from the family. My mom comes out carrying our baby brother. Me, I'm running to the car. And then my other brother, we run into the car and we get inside of a 1979 baby blue wheel on steel Chevy gas guzzling automobile. Now you're like, why are these people so excited? So you, as the nosy neighbor, you jump in the car with us, and my mom puts the car in reverse. We put on our seatbelt. She puts it in fast forward. Now we're going down the street. We pull up. We are excited. Me and my brothers, my mom were excited. We jump out the car. You look up and you're like, why are these people so excited? You see, we were at the grocery store. You're like, the grocery store? Yes. You see, that envelope, it had $220 worth of food stamps in it because we were broke, but
Yep.
still living. That
Yeah.
$220 made the difference between my stomach growling in class and me paying attention to study. Life was hard. Fast forward a little bit, there was a program called Upward Bound Trio program. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, folks, but it was the best thing that happened for me. They provided me with an opportunity to have tutoring services, additional hands-on training, and they encouraged me to have a goal. One thing about life, you need to have a goal. They encouraged me, Michael, get your high school diploma, but keep going. You need to get a 4-year college degree. When you get that 4-year college degree, things will change. I'm here to testify that doors that was once locked for me as a young boy were closed. But when I got my bachelor's degree, all because of the support of others, doors became unlocked. I had the key. I became very successful because I did what was hard for 4 years, folks. 4 years, I went to college, got my degree so that my life could be easy. I'll tell another story later on about the difference between those who make that sacrifice and those who don't, and the difference in their income, the lifetime earning. Uh, so then I end up working at Dell Computers. I'm not going to give the whole life story. It's in the book. So I ended up working at Dell Computers. Life is good, having a good time. I got married, got the child on the way, second child. Life is good. We bought the house. We got the cars. I'm driving to work. And all of a sudden, my daughter's like, Daddy, can you buy me some ice cream when you come and pick me up? I'm like, sure, I can do that. I'll pick you up because remember, it's hot outside. So go to work, typical day at Dell Computers. They feed you, they give you all types of nice little trinkets to keep you nice and comfortable. I'm wearing flip flops and t shirts at work, enjoying life. Come back from lunch, my supervisor said, Michael, I want to talk to you. Okay, sorry, we're going to have to lay you off. What? You got to lay me off? Imagine driving home to go pick up your daughter from daycare who wants ice cream, not realizing that you are no longer employed. And then your wife is pregnant with your second child. Imagine how you're feeling. I pick my daughter up from daycare, give her the ice cream, and I start to reflect on life. Like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. But there was something I had done that was a little bit different. You see, once again, I told you, education can open doors. Education can open doors. I call it my personal development voice was talking to me while I was working at Dale. It said, Michael, it's time for you to go back and get your master's in accounting. I'm like, why would I go and get my master's in accounting when I have my 4-year degree? I have an MBA in personal finance. So why go back and get my master's in accounting? Michael, when you were driving down the street, did you put a tape into the cassette deck to listen? I said, no, no, no. I put a CD in there. Oh, okay. Michael, when you're at home, do you watch movies via VHS, beta tapes? No, 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 DVD. So, Michael, you really think computers are going to be selling for $1,000 5, 10 years from now? I said, you got a point. And that's why I went back and got my master's in accounting. However, before I was able to get a corporate job at Dell, I was let go. So I'll pause there before I tell the rest of the story of what happened when I became unemployed and how I survived for months.
So let me try to sort of back up a bit. Things were rough as a kid. You decided just because you decided how is it that you ended up going to college? Was there somebody who was trying to influence you in that, or was it just a deep down desire? How did that work?
So it goes back to Upward Bound Trio program. And this is why I love talking to college students and going and speaking at universities. Upward Bound is a program where on the weekends, Saturdays, tutors will meet with you. So let me restate it. Basically, the way Upward Bound program works is that you kind of have an accountability partner. You have teachers who on Saturday will meet with students on a college campus from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. During those sessions from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., they'll help you with your math, science, social studies. They will also teach you different modules along the way as well. During the summertime, you're required to go for 5 days a week for about 6 weeks during the summertime. And now they're teaching you about tennis, how to play tennis, right? Teaching you about the rule for playing golf. They're just exposing you to other opportunities in the world. In addition, they take you on field trips. I went to the Capitol. I went to Six Flags. So they're taking a person who is living in poverty, a person who's never seen outside their local city radius of 30 miles. They're taking that person and they're exposing them to the world that's 30 miles away. They're exposing them to college life and making it normal so that when I finished high school, I already was supposed to go to college. That was what was considered the norm. However,
Okay.
as you can imagine, my other friends, they didn't go to college because it wasn't the norm for them. Outward Bound put the bug in me that no, this is your goal, Michael. Your goal is to go to college when you finish high school. It's not to go make money. Now, I almost fell into that trap. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw my friends graduate from high school and they were buying those new shacks, with the pump,
Yeah.
you pump them up for like $80.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
envious. I wanted to make money like that
Yeah.
as well. So I struggled my first semester trying to chase money and trying to study, but fast forward, I pushed through. So that's how I ended up having the desire to go to college because of Upward Bound. It planted that seed And it said, this is the normal life that you should take, not realizing that it was a little bit different. So that's where I started saying, huh, if they can do it, I can do it.
Cool. And then and then you end up in what felt like a stable job, and it became unstable very quickly. And in that lack of stability and a lot of stress, right? The financial stress, at least, right? Trying to and maybe the memory of what life was like when you were a kid and having to race to a mailbox. I mean, for me, like we were up and down, and we had houses taken away. I get it,
Mm.
and pretty soon you feel like, man, I got to do everything I can right now to make it as stable as possible, and all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from underneath you. So what happens next?
All right, Brad. So what happens next after when I got laid off from Dale?
Yeah,
Okay, wow. It was interesting. Since I had my MBA in personal finance, I was a little prepared, but not quite prepared, right? You always say, oh, it can happen, but it's not going to happen to me. I had put money into my 401k. I took advantage of the employer match. What that means is that, say you're making, $5,000 a month and you put in $500 into your 401k account, your employer will match that and put in 100% of your $500. So it's kind of like,
yeah,
hey, if you're willing to invest in yourself, then we will invest in you as well. I
yeah.
put
Little free money,
$500 in. Say again.
little free money.
Yes, 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 yes. And they put in the 500, I call it free money, right, Brad? Free money.
Yep,
So now you have $1,000. Okay, you say $1,000 is not much, but hey, that's free money. Where are you gonna get 100% rate of return on your money?
yep,
Nowhere, nowhere.
yep,
You're not gonna get it. I started putting money into my 401k, and now I knew the value of compounding interest. There's this thing I'll teach y'all real quick. The rule of 72. The rule of 72 says this: take 72 and you divide it by your average annual rate of return of your investment. I like to refer to the S&P 500 has an average annual return of 9%. So you take 72 and you divide it by 9 equals 8. That means in 8 years, your money will double. So imagine you have $10,000 just sitting there. You put it into the account. 8 years is going to double to $20,000. You're making money while you sleep. So I knew that principle. I knew that concept. I was putting money in my 401k. So I was able to save up some money, but it wasn't a lot. I was able to save up some money because I'm going to tell you, when I went to the unemployment office and they told me, Michael, congratulations, you get the max unemployment. I said, oh, okay, that's good. $200. Hmm. Jordan, can you imagine getting $200 a week to live off on? No, no, that you can't sustain that. $200 a week, 800 for the month, baby on the way. You talking about scared? I was scared, nervous, but my wife, very, very faithful woman, said, Michael, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting at home babysitting, taking care of our child. My wife is going to work while she's pregnant, and she's not making a lot of money. Basic, middle class, basic money. So we needed money. So I'm withdrawing money out that 401k, tapped it as an emergency. We were living off of that. Weeks went by, no job. Month, no job. I'm like, what's going on? I got these two master's degree and I can't get a job. What is going on? Then I got an interview to go interview and work for a clothing store in the mall to be an assistant manager. Brad, I'm
yeah.
happy. I'm like, oh
Well, it's a
yeah,
paycheck, man. Are you kidding me?
paycheck, a
It doesn't
paycheck.
matter.
Right, exactly,
Let's get
Brad.
it.
Money
Let's get
is
some
money.
groceries. Let's pay some rent. Let's buy some gas,
Yes.
and let's make sure we can turn on the heat and the cool and some lights in the house. Right? You got to
You
get it
got that
done.
right. You want to be
Yeah.
able to at least go to the buffet, once a week, do
Yeah.
something,
For
eat
something.
good instead of eating the ramen noodles every day, rice and
Yep.
beans, and get old
For
real
sure.
quick. So my wife is like, Michael, nah, you can't go to that interview. You can't take that. I'm like, Jordan, like, what are you talking about? Like, I can't take the interview. She says, nah, don't go to that interview. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm tired of eating rice and beans, beans and
Yep.
rice and ramen noodles. The money is running out. I got to go and get a new job. I go to the interview, and guess what? My wife follows me. So she's in the car with me going to the interview in the mall. She said, oh, I'm just going to walk around. Jordan, while I'm in the mall interviewing, she's walking around praying I don't get the job. I don't get the job
She's doing circles all the way around the mall, like,
all the
you
way
better not, you
around.
better not.
I'm like, so I'm a man, as you can tell, my wife has abundance of faith, right? She
Yeah,
is a
yeah, for sure.
believer like
But
no
wait, but
other.
she's undermining your ability to provide. Come on now, come on, girl, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Now, if you can get her on your podcast, her story, ooh, you think I got a story. Ooh, her story is even amazing. So I understand where
That's
faith
awesome.
comes from. I
Yeah,
understand where faith comes from. So I'm in there interviewing. I come out, I'm happy. She looking at
yeah,
me like, oh, I was like, oh, yeah. They said they'll be in touch soon. She was like, you better not. You
yeah.
better
Well,
not take
they'll
that.
be in touch soon because I torpedoed them. They're gonna call you and say, "I'm sorry, but you don't get this job."
Look, when we have this sudden urge, and we just feel like somebody's praying that you shouldn't have this job.
Exactly.
That's right. They
Yeah,
kick you out of the interview. I don't know why, Michael, but it's time for you to go.
time. I feel it. I feel something in the air, you know?
Yeah,
So and I'll be a little bit more transparent.
yeah,
I even had a job offer to
yeah,
work for a financial company
sure.
because I love talking about money, right? I love talking about money. She was like, you
Yep.
ain't gonna be out there knocking on no doors. You ain't
Yeah,
gonna be out there knocking on no doors. So I already
yeah,
passed up one job.
yeah,
So this one, I'm like, look, I'm not knocking on doors. Nope, nope,
yeah,
nope. So I go home happy. Next day, I check my Yahoo account.
yeah.
Got an email. It says, Michael, we want you to come to Washington, D.C. and interview. I said, okay. It says that now you have to pass the interview, you have to pass the top secret security clearance, and you have to pass a medical clearance. Now, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What type of job is this? Because I
Yeah.
did serve in the Army. I did do 4 years in the Army. So when I got out of high
Yeah.
school, fast, I
Okay.
did a little college,
Yep.
got my GI Bill so I can go back and pay for college and
Yep.
finish.
Good.
So I'm
Yep.
familiar with security clearance, but not a top secret security clearance and
Yeah.
medical clearance and all this
Yeah.
type of
You're gonna
stuff.
you're gonna probe my bank account, my friends, and my body, and I'm
Yes,
not sure I want this job.
exactly, exactly, Brad. Never heard of such. So now I'm Googling, like, what is this? So I go and look on the website, USAID.gov, for those who are
Yep.
interested, USAID.gov /careers. It says foreign service officer, financial management officer. You have to do this, pass the interview, and then you will get a diplomatic passport so that you can travel the world. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't accidentally apply to be a U.S. diplomat. Can you imagine? Who does that?
I'm a kid. I'm a kid who grew up in a tiny little community, had no chance of escaping that community, was put into a program in order to just get exposure to the outside world. And now you're telling me you're going to give me a diplomatic passport to go kind of wherever I want to go in the world?
In the
That's awesome.
world. And
Yeah.
Brad, when you say small city, as you said, it made me remember Clarksville, Tennessee, right?
Yep.
It's right outside of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Army base.
Yeah.
Clarksville, Tennessee. Ooh, that house was it was small, I must admit. Ooh, you go like
Yeah. Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can reach outside and touch your neighbors.
Yep. 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 So all this marching around the mall, praying to the Lord that you're not going to get this regular job. Did she have a clue that there was something else, or was she was just drawn to pray against this? Do you know?
I feel like part of it because at the time my brother worked in retail, and so he worked a
Yeah.
lot of holidays.
Oh.
And so yeah, so I think in her mind she was like, but the weird part is that I applied for retail like years before that, and it was
Yeah.
okay, but we were dating then. It's different when you're dating,
Yeah.
when you're dating versus when
Yeah,
you're
you
married,
know
it's
we're
two
still we're
different
still marrying
standards.
your potential, not what you're really doing, and so it's okay. Little retail's all right, but this diplomatic thing that sounds pretty cool.
Yes,
So what
yes, yes.
happened?
So
You
she
like
had
so
no
you get
idea.
this
She had no idea.
no. So you get this email and it's got all these really cool things in it. But it kind of feels like a scam. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. I was just saying, if I got that email today, I would think,
Yeah.
well, this is just a scam. What happens next? How do you get through that process, and then what happens next?
All right. So now I'm like, all right, this is life changing. So they bought my ticket. I called them, called them. Um, they paid for my ticket to fly out because I was unemployed. So I applied for every job, right? They would take
Yeah,
somebody
yeah,
that
yeah.
was living, kicking, and breathing. So I
Yep,
applied for all types of jobs at that point in
yep,
time. So
yep,
I fly out to DC, go to the interview. They're like, okay, go to the interview. It's like, okay, somebody will be in touch with you later on to let you know if you pass the interview or not. Bam. Within a couple weeks, I was contacted. Hey, you passed the interview. Now you have to do the top secret security clearance and you got to pass a medical clearance. They're knocking on my neighbor's door. Hey, do
yep.
you know him? They're going back to high school. Hey, do you know this
Oh
guy?
yeah,
Hey, do you know this
yeah,
guy? Now I'm
yeah.
sweating bullets, Brad, and
Sure.
in Jordan, because I'm like, whoa, I'm so glad I was the anomaly in college. I was the
Yep,
person where I was happy in my skin and who I was. So I wasn't
yeah,
doing
yep,
anything crazy. I
yep,
wasn't
yep,
doing all that any crazy stuff. So I was like, I am so happy I didn't fall into the peer
yep,
pressure.
yep.
Waited, waited, got the email. Hey, seems like you're a good person. Passed the security clearance. Family did the medical clearance, passed. They're like, okay, when do you want to start? I'm like, tomorrow, because I'm like, I need the MONEY. I need like
Yeah,
yesterday.
that's right. Rent rates for no man. We've got to pay.
No man
Oh,
at all, or woman, or child,
yep,
or
that's
teenager.
right. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, so ultimately sounds like you end up with a job, and then what kind of assignment did you end up with?
Fascinating, fascinating. So remember, they said you had to learn the language. I'm not sure if I mentioned that part. You had to learn a language. So after I go to orientation, they're like, hey, you get to go to language training for 6 months. I'm like, oh, yes, I get paid to go learn a language.
Yep.
Brad and Jordan, I'm here to tell you it's torture. I'm just going to keep it real. Going to the federal government's language training program is torture because usually it's not a
Uh,
6 month vacation at all
yep.
because
Yep.
they have standards. And when I say they have
Yep.
standards, they want to take you the way you are today. And they said, Jordan, 7 months from now, when you land in, say, Peru, we want you to be able to have a conversation with the minister in Spanish. We want you to be able to go to the grocery store and pick out food and go to the restaurant and be able to order without any interpreters because you have been trained for 6, 7 months to learn Spanish. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't understand that the standard was that high. I thought it was like, hola, como está usted? Something basic like
Yeah.
that. So did the language training. It kicked my butt. Ooh, it kicked my butt. So then finished that. Ooh, me and the family, we fly into Santo
If you
Domingo.
don't mind, how much did they expect you to learn in what amount of time?
It was in 6 months. In 24 weeks, they expect, here's the standard.
But like each week, or
Okay, so each week, the way it works is that Jordan, you walk in and they're like, "Hola, cómo está usted?" You're like, "What? What are you? What is that?" And then they're like, "How was your weekend?" Like, well, in Spanish. All this, they're talking to you in Spanish. So then they back it up a little bit, and then they help you. My name is Me llamo Miguel. Me llamo Brad. Me
Yep.
llamo Jordan. So my name is etc. But they give you homework, and guess
Yep.
what? Tomorrow you better have done your homework.
That's
And then the
right.
next day, you're going to get more homework.
Yep.
And guess what happens the next day? You get more homework. And guess what happens the following day? You get more homework because they expect you to every week to be able to understand everything they're saying to you. They expect you to be able to read in Spanish. They expect you to be able to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Thus, every week, the standard continues to get higher and higher and higher
Yep.
throughout. your time. Now, what they don't really tell you, which I feel like they should scare you and say, look, this is not play. This is not no no. When you leave here, you're going to be on CNN and you're going to be interviewed. If like if they put it to you
Yeah.
like that, that would scare you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a friend who went to DLI, same sort of thing, right? The Defense Language Institute,
Yes,
same sort of thing,
yes.
right? Where you're not necessarily on the diplomatic side, but you're in the military trying to, you know, be stationed in a location and functional in a culture and language that you have no exposure to. It was like
Yeah.
it was unbelievable to watch and hear the stories going back and forth. Yeah, it's intense. You thought your undergrad was like, this is crazy. I'm doing all this homework and whatever, and not anymore. It's like real life. It's immersive, and if you don't pass, you get kicked out. Yeah.
Yes, that's something else they don't tell you. You got 5 years to master a language. So you got 5 years to master a language. So at that point in time, Jordan, I'm like, man, I should have paid more attention in high school Spanish, you know?
Yeah.
So coming full circle. So I passed the language. We flew out to Dominican Republic. Now the great thing about being in the foreign service, so there's so many names. Foreign service, if you're applying for the job, it's called foreign service. My specialty is a financial controller. So I was a financial controller because I had that master's in accounting. I don't know if you caught that. That
Yeah,
personal
yeah, yeah.
development bug said, are you going to be using beta tapes, VHS tapes, and all
Yep.
that? Said you
Yep.
need to go and develop yourself personally. So it was my master's in accounting that allowed me to be able to qualify for the job. Living in Dominican Republic, beautiful, beautiful country. Uh, had my mentor, help me throughout the time. The local staff was helping me to learn the job, learning how to manage the budget, managing the different vouchers we had to process and pay, and just learning how to work in the foreign service to be a U.S. diplomat representing the United States of America. That was my first assignment. So I don't know if you have any questions about the first one. And trust me, when we went to the grocery store, guess who had to do all the translation? I did.
Meanwhile, your wife is just surrounding you in prayer, like, let's hope that he gets it right, because I'm tired of beans and rice. Let's work on something else. All right. Oh, that's
Yep, yep,
crazy.
yep.
So, just out of curiosity, then, I mean, understanding your wife's faith, and you haven't talked much about kind of your own faith in this. So we see
Mm.
what your wife's faith is doing to change it, change your circumstances. And in the interview that I just recently did, like earlier today, it was a guy said he was told by his pastor, God either changes your circumstances or he changes you. Um, well, or
Mm.
maybe both. And I'm just curious, what does that look like? What changed in you, and then where else did you see God sort of show up in this story?
Okay. So back when we were depending on food stamps, because I'll go back a little bit
Yeah,
further in my life history. So
yeah,
my mom and dad met, and they were like, instead of doing the old, court and date and, go to college, finish, learn a skill, save up money, then we
yeah,
get married, buy the house, and have the nice little play area to the side. My mom and dad were, 15, 16 years old, and they were like love at first sight. So my mom had me when she was 16 years old. So life didn't start out with an
wow,
advantage. So they did get married, and then
okay,
they unfortunately they separated. So when
okay,
my dad and them they separated. So I'm in Clarksville, Tennessee. All of a sudden, my mom and dad are separated. I'm a young teenager. Now life is hard.
yeah,
My mom joined the church, so she changed her life. So she joined a church called First Assembly of God, First
yep,
Assembly of God in Clarksville, Tennessee.
okay,
And that's where we went to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday.
okay,
So that's where I was able to see God's work, see
okay.
God's ability to help those who needed a little bit more guidance and support. when I fast forward in my life now and I look at my mom, I see that my mom's life was not one of serving the Lord.
Yeah.
She made that change when life happened, when they got the divorce. And so she wanted to protect us as children. So she started going to church to the, and so that skill set of going to church, believing in God, trusting in God, having faith, obeying the 10 commandments, it created a spiritual foundation in me. So throughout my journey as I'm living, I'm always, remember in college I said I wasn't doing all the super crazy stuff that others
Yeah.
did, meaning that I had a variance of how crazy I would act and get and etc. Thus, when I'm when I got married, we're going to church. Oh, so fellas, okay, let me tell you something here. This is how I got my wife. Okay. So we stayed at the same apartment complex building. So I saw her. Saw her at the gym. She comes in, I'm on the treadmill. She jumps on the treadmill. So then she starts running fast. So I'm like, oh, okay. I was in the army before. So I'm like, yeah, I'm a lean, mean fighting machine. So I'm like, okay. So I speed up the little number on the treadmill. And then she's running, and then she maxes that thing out and I can't keep up. So I just slow it on down. I pretend like, I'm doing my warm up for that. I'm doing my warm up for the weights. That's what I'm doing. So
Fake it till you make it, brother.
exactly. So I was like, oh, okay. She was looking good. She had those shorts on, looking good. I was like, "Hey." She had these braids on and everything. I was like, huh, you look different in a nice way. So I was like, hey, how you doing? And then I noticed she had an accent. I was like, oh, where you from? She said Zambia. I was like, oh, okay, all right, different. So I was like, oh, okay, you live around here, yeah, that etc. So guess what I did? I went to the gym again the same time because I wanted to see her again. I go to the gym, I see her again. I was like, hey, how you doing, etc. I learned my lesson, folks. I was not trying to compete on the treadmill. I got on that thing, I walked for 2 minutes and got off real quick. So then I'm like, hey, be like, can I get in contact with you later on? She was like, oh, I don't have a phone. I'm like, what? You ain't got no phone. I said, okay, I understand. So I'm like, okay, maybe because she was a student, right? So she was from Zambia coming to the US, so she was a college student. So I'm like, okay, I understand. Okay, you have no phone. Fast forward a couple weeks later, I see her at the gym again. And guess what happens, folks?
Her phone rang.
The phone rings, Brad. Jordan, the phone rings. So I'm like,
She's lying to me.
hallelujah.
she
Hallelujah.
she's punking me. She doesn't like me. She doesn't want to date me. She's just trying to get rid of me, and I can't run fast enough, so I didn't pass the test.
I
That's what
didn't pass
happened.
this. I didn't pass the test.
You
So
can't measure up.
yeah. So then I was like, hey, I said, you got a phone now. Can I call you? She was like, uh, it's my friend's phone. I
Yeah,
said,
that's
wait a
right. Yeah,
minute.
it's not mine. Can't be mine.
We babysitting people's phones nowadays? Like, who does that? I said,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So I said, look, hey, my birthday's around the corner, love you if you come to the get together. Here's my number. Okay, she takes it. She doesn't go, but then she calls me up. Hey, sorry I missed your birthday. Hey, I can make it up to you. Let's go to the movies. I was like, okay, let's go to the movies. We go to the movies. She's like, I'm paying. I ain't trying to deal with you Americans, no baby daddy, no baby mama drama. Nope. I am paying. You get zeroed. Nada, zilch, nothing, no expectations
There's
whatsoever.
no quid pro quo here. We're gonna go
None.
see a movie. If it's all right, we might talk afterward. If it's not all right, no harm, no foul. I'll go back to the gym. I'll continue to use my friend's phone,
Yep.
and you know, you go on your way. I'll go my way. I get
Exactly.
it. I like your wife. I dig her.
She has stories for days. She has
That's
stories for
good.
days.
I'm ready.
So then, so we go after we get done with the movie. we stop at the gas station because I like this pina colada orange juice drink. So she was like, "Oh, okay, get you something to drink." Guess what? I'm paying. I'm paying. She said, "Bam, okay." Then I was like, "Hey, I'm going to church tomorrow. If you want to come, you can come." She's like, "Oh, I already go to X church." I was like, "Oh, you might like it. It's up to you."
Yeah.
She goes and she called. "Yeah, okay, I'll go to church with you one time." Mount Zion Baptist Church in Antioch, Tennessee. You see, it has a big choir, and that choir, when you hear them sing, you're just gonna be mesmerized. You're gonna gravitate to the music,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
worship, the
Yeah.
atmosphere,
Yeah.
everything. The anointing is in the place. Bishop Joseph Walker is a powerful, powerful anointed preacher. So she goes to church with me, and we've been together forever ever since, folks. That's how you get your woman. Fight them to church, folks.
Well, there's a little tenacity there first. I mean, you got to fight, right? Apparently, she's decided that there's sort of a reasonable level of effort you have to put in order to earn it,
Yes.
because you're not going to just walk in and say, "Come on a date with me." You gotta get in there. That's funny. That's funny. So the two of you, you meet, you participate in church regularly. I'm just curious, when she's praying for you to not get this job, are you praying to get the job? How
Yes,
does
I
that
am.
work?
So I'm
Right?
praying to get the job, and I must admit, my faith and prayer wasn't as strong as hers. So it was already
Yeah.
a losing battle. So my prayer probably was at a level 2, and hers was at a 10. So at that point in time, and then I saw what was happening. So I increased my prayer game, as life went on.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, so it's that for me is fascinating, right? Because over time we mature as individuals. We certainly mature in our relationships, and seeing a gift that your wife has and going, this is fascinating to me. I wonder, how do I up my game? She's already got this level of expectation. I,
Yes.
I got to bring up my spiritual game at the same time, or she's going to kick me to the curb.
That's what happened. So she uplifted me is what happened. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
how
awesome.
my spirit I had a foundation in the base, but it
Yeah.
wasn't at her level.
Yeah. So if you were to look back now, or maybe not look back, but if other people were were in this part of their life in which, like, it seemed like everything was fine, and then the wheels fell off, and they really fell off. Like, they fell off so much that you're starting to sacrifice what you think was a standard of the type of job, the standard of living, the standard of relationship, like all of these sort of predetermined notions. You're starting to have to scramble to survive. What advice would you give them based on your own experience?
So here this is what I teach or I say to people nowadays because they're like, "Wow, Michael, how did you do it and how do you keep overcoming obstacles in life?"
Yeah.
I say the key is have a vision. I realize Outward Bound allowed me to have a vision. That vision was to go to college to get a degree so that more doors would open up. I can get out of poverty, right? So I say have a vision. Once you have a vision, be willing to take action. And it can be whatever you're comfortable with. I kind of put it to the fact of say you want to lose weight. Well, you can run, you can jog, you can get on the rower machine, do what feels comfortable and natural for you, then take action. Then success will come. I always look at my life as that don't get too almighty. Realize that God is in control. God is in control. You got to be faithful and obedient to God. He is in control. You will face obstacles in life, but if you've ever exercised, you know what happens. You pick up that dumbbell. It's heavy at first. That 10-pound dumbbell is heavy. When you go back to it the next day, it becomes a little lighter. A month from now, when you pick up the 10-pound dumbbell, it feels a little lighter. See, you got stronger. That's what has happened. You got stronger. Therefore, in life, you will go through obstacles, but it's to help you become stronger so that you can continue to elevate your life. And then also, as you know, without a test, there is no testimony. We got the testimonies of triumph, right? Testimonies of triumph come from tests. You got to be tested in order to have a testimony.
Amen.
I don't know if I could have put a finer point on it. we might be done with that part of the interview. However, I would like to know, if people are trying to figure out how to get a hold of your book or how to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
All right. The best way, two options. Go to madillard.com /link, LINK -IN -BIO. So madillard.com /link -in -bio, or you can just go to my website, madillard.com, and send me a chat, or you can book a call with me via Calendly if you want to talk. Be encouraged. Have somebody pour into your life. If you have questions about personal finance, I do, videos. You can watch them online for free. I'm just happy to help and coach people along the way, because, sometimes life can be hard, but if you're able to work with someone that can help, show you that, it's hard today, but tomorrow your life will be easier.
Thank you for joining us on Testimonies of Triumph. We hope today's story inspired and encouraged you to see God's hand at work in your life. A special thank you to our amazing engineers and production team at Waldrop Communications for making this show possible. Until next time, keep walking in faith, and remember, God's grace is with you every step of the way.